I was so impressed with the Glashutte Original CQ I reviewed last month that I asked the brand to lend me another watch from their collection. This is the PanoMaticLunar with the silver dial, one of the watches from Glashutte Original's Pano collection. These Pano watches are recognizable by the offset or asymmetric dial and the large date, but there is so much more to this watch. Let me show you on this episode of Adventures with Time. Big thank you to Glashutte Original for the opportunity to get my hands on this exquisite watch. There are 4 dial colors of the PanoMaticLunar watch: silver, green, blue, and what I would call slate. It was a hard decision for me to pick which color to request. Since I had reviewed the CQ in green, I thought I should try a different color with the PanoMaticLunar. So it was between the silver and slate. I'm not a big fan of blue dials. I flipped a coin and landed on the silver. Was this the correct choice? Stay tuned and see. I'll leave a link to my CQ review at the end of this video. In that video, you'll also find additional information with the history of Glashutte Original and an overview of their watch collections. In this video, I'll go over the specifications of the PanoMaticLunar, point out key design elements as well as some of the more subtle aspects, and give you my likes and dislikes of this watch. If you want to skip any part of this video, there are time codes in the description below, or simply use the video timeline here at the bottom of the screen. The PanoMaticLunar is one of the watches in the Pano collection with their signature asymmetric dials and large date windows. The main 2 models are the PanoMaticLunar and the Pano Reserve, which has a power reserve indicator instead of the moon phase complication. I'm not a fan of power indicators, but I've always admired moon phase watches, especially in a dress watch. Hence, asking for the PanoMaticLunar was a no-brainer for me. I think a moon phase complication adds additional interest to the dial of a dress watch, which tend to be a bit bare. Not that the PanoMaticLunar dial needs more. The offset dials, along with the large date window, offer plenty of visual appeal to generate wrist presence. Some of you may be familiar with the Lange & Son watches with similar asymmetric dials, another brand based in Glashutte, Germany. But Lange & Son's moon phase watches are at least 5 times the price of the PanoMaticLunar. Let's move over to the desk and take a close look at this iconic watch. The PanoMaticLunar has a list price of $9,900 US on this alligator leather strap. I think a dress watch belongs on a strap, but putting it on a bracelet to sport it up a bit may be another option. The stainless steel case is 40 millimeters in diameter with a thickness of 12.7 millimeters, which is about a half a millimeter thicker than the CQ. Lug to lug is 47 millimeters and lug width is 20 millimeters. On this strap, it weighs in at just 91 grams. One of the complaints I had with the CQ is that it didn't have a display case back such that we could admire the finishing of the in-house movement. The PanoMaticLunar resolves that issue for me. In fact, I can't decide which is more fun to look at, the dial or the movement. I'll start at the dial and work my way to the movement and finish with the strap. Although the dial layout is somewhat asymmetric, there are 3 elements to draw one's attention: the time, the date, and the moon phase elements, each sufficiently pronounced and engaging to balance the face and create wrist presence. The majority of the dial, or should we call it the face, is taken up by the time dials. One larger dial for hours and minutes, and a subdial for seconds, which partially overlays the bottom of the main dial. I think this configuration gives some importance to the running seconds and adds animation to the otherwise static face. Both the main and subdial are grooved with concentric circles, which gives an ever so slight sunray effect in direct sunlight. The beveled edges to both of these dials helps to outline and separate them from the rest of the watch face, adding additional opportunity for light reflection. You will note that although the seconds subdial obscures the bottom of the main dial, the printed track on the main dial is carried through the subdial. This enables exact time telling throughout the main dial. One thing I would have liked to see is a more complete minute track run through the subdial. As it stands now, the 5 and 6 o'clock hour markers are missing, along with the 24 and 36-minute markers. A small point perhaps, but something I noticed and bugs me just a bit. While the running seconds hand is a plain stick shape, dolphin hands are used for the hours and minutes, each partially filled with luminous paint and providing the only lume on this watch face. The large or grand date window is positioned close to the main dial with a nice beveled and edge cutout. I like it when a watch has some detail to the date cutout, with either beveling or trim or both. They can place this date window closer to the center of the face because it consists of two small wheels, one for the single units and one for the tens units. These are separated by a thin, clean line, and both wheels are on the same plane. A really nice implementation. Many of the design elements I've highlighted so far are carried through to the moon phase complication. A bevel on the outside of the moon day track with a larger bevel surrounding the moon phase indicator. And note that this cutout is somewhat shaped like a crescent moon. The moon phase indicator itself has a night blue background with reflective stars and a polished moon. This design makes a nice twinkling star effect when you move the watch around. Very subtle and pleasing. The remainder of the watch face is a matte silver background with just a few elements of writing. Some have stated their dislike for some of this wording around the edge, thinking it clutters the face. I tend to think that without it, this part of the face might look bland. Tell me what you think of the PanoMaticLunar watch face. I have a feeling it's going to be a bit polarizing. You'll either love it or hate it. The ever so slightly domed sapphire crystal has anti-reflective coating so one can get a clear view of this watch face and all of its finer points. The side of the case is where I'm a bit uncertain. There is a nice double-step bezel from the crystal down to the case side, all with a high polish. These angles play nicely with the light. But then we have this fairly wide brush case side, which to me gives the impression of a thick watch, sort of slab-like in appearance. I think that a dress watch, and I consider this a dress watch, especially in this color, should have a more sleek appearance. Don't get me wrong, even with a 12.7mm overall thickness, the PanoMaticLunar still slips easily under one's shirt cuff. It is more about the look to me than anything else. Again, tell us your thoughts on this case design. The other star of this watch is the movement, and the PanoMaticLunar has a nice display case back so we can see all the exquisite finishing. The case back is secured by 5 screws in a polished rim which has some beautiful inscriptions, which includes a serial number. The movement is the beautiful in-house caliber 90-02, which runs at 4 Hz or 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has a 42-hour power reserve, which is long enough to cover you if you don't wear your watch for a day and a half. What makes this movement so striking to look at? I think it's the intricate finishing. Your eyes will first go to the double swan neck fine adjustment and the hand-engraved balance bridge. How classy is that? But I wonder why it couldn't be positioned directly in line with the lugs. I'm sure there's a good reason. It just nags at my sense of alignment. Virtually every surface of the movement is decorated, from the 3/4 plate to the skeletonized rotor with its double G in 21-karat gold, down to the blued screws. Just a joy to look at, yet hard to capture through the camera. The alligator strap uses a quick release buckle. Once you determine your sizing, you secure the buckle post in the appropriate strap hole and secure it with this tiny screw. There is a tight snap that allows you to open and close the buckle. My only issue with this mechanism is that there is no micro adjustment available, and tightening or loosening the strap requires removing that screw. Oh, my other problem was that the strap was just a bit short for my 7 7/8 inch wrist. I'm not sure if they make a longer strap available. By the way, if you enjoy this type of content, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that I can continue to bring you more watch content. I tried to wear this watch in several scenarios so you could see how versatile it is. Remember, I only have this leather strap. I'm sure putting it on a bracelet gives an entirely different look. Enjoy this short gallery. this watch several times, I still have the impression that this is mainly a dress watch. Perhaps the green or gray dial would look more sporty. Any of you actually have this watch in any of the dial colors? If so, please share your experiences and let us know if you wear this in casual attire, like a t-shirt and jeans or shorts. Now here is my video on the Glashutte Original CQ, and one with my in-depth review of the Oris Aquis Date Caliber 400. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.